The AFC playoff race is going to be crazy heading into the playoffs. There are 13 teams that are still in contention at the current moment. Now, as I am recording this, the Steelers are down 7-3 to the Ravens at halftime. So, if they end up losing this game, you can probably cross Pittsburgh off this list. Cleveland is barely hanging on, and they're desperately going to need to win next week. They play Baltimore next week, so if Cleveland loses, you can cross them off the list. Another interesting game next week, we have the Raiders and the Chiefs, and if the Raiders lose to Washington and then lose that one, you could cross them off the list. But that still only narrows us down to 9, and you only got 7 spots. You're going to have probably 10 teams by week 15 fighting for 7 spots. So let's take a look, and we'll explain how crazy and how tight this race is going to be. Well, let's get into it. As of now, I would only say that there are 2 teams that are safe. The Ravens, who are 8-3, potentially about to be 9-3, beating the Steelers, and the Tennessee Titans at 8-4. Now, the reasons I say these 2 and don't include anybody else is because of who they play after this. The Ravens, if they get to 9 wins, they're probably good. They'll get some wins later on in the season. They've got Cleveland next week, which is a winnable game. Cleveland fighting for a playoff spot, and then just moving on, they'll be able to take care of business and get one more win at least and get to double digits, and they'll probably be good. And then Tennessee, 8-4, still has games against Jacksonville and Houston, and that'll pretty much do it for them. Then moving down the line, you've got the Bills and the Patriots. The winner of this game, I think, is pretty much a lock for the playoffs because the Patriots have a bye next week, and the Bills have the Bucs next week, so that'll be a good game to watch. But the winner of it will just take over the division, and then they play again. And if they split the series, they'll both be good. But if one dominates and wins both matchups, then the other one's going to be fighting. But that'll be interesting to watch. Both of those games will be good games, and the Bills versus the Bucs in Week 14 is going to be a good one as well. And you've got the Bangles and the Chargers. These 2 teams, they're definitely playoff caliber teams. We saw them have a good game against each other, where the Chargers won nicely today. They're both at 7-5, and they're both looking to make the playoffs. So both have had questionable losses, and they both had good wins. So they have the talent to do it. But the number, you can't really drop below 7 wins. That's the number that I've been looking at. That's what I've been seeing. The Dolphins are currently 6-7, and they have the chance to run the table and enter at 10-7 or 9-8. So really, you got to get the double digits. There's no way in the AFC that you can get in at 9-8. I just don't think it's going to happen the way the games are going to work out. You got to get to 10 wins to make it. You've got Indy, who's now sitting at 7-6. They've got some tough games getting up. They got to hang on. You get to 8 losses. You can't get to that double-digit win, which is really pretty much the threshold to make the playoffs in the AFC with how tight this race is. And you've got all 4 AFC West teams still in contention. You've got the Broncos and the Chiefs tonight. That'll be an interesting game. See if you can get some separation for the Chiefs in the division. And the Broncos got the Lions next week, so no matter what, they'll probably get a win there. And then if you look at the rest of their schedule, they got the Bengals, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Chiefs again. So a big game against the Bengals, that'll determine some things. And then the AFC West is going to play themselves, so that'll settle it out. Same thing with the AFC East. Patriots have to play the Dolphins, and the Patriots have to play the Bills twice. So we see these divisions with 3, and even the AFC West with 4 teams in contention. That's going to settle itself out, and it won't be that way. So them playing each other, they're going to get to 2 of these 4 teams in that division are going to get to 7, 8 losses, and they're probably not going to be able to make the playoffs. But you could get where one team just completely falls off the earth and loses out. Like we could see Denver lose out completely, and then the 3 teams could sneak in. It's all very possible the way the playoffs are this year. And then you've got the Dolphins, who are now 6-7 with a win today. They head into a bye this next week. Then they got the Jets with a chance to get back at 7-7. And their final 3 games of the season are a little bit tougher, but they're all winnable. They got New Orleans, Tennessee, and New England at home. So you got some tough games, but you rattle them off, keep building the confidence, keep riding the win streak, and you get a chance to get in the playoffs and have some very interesting Week 17 matchups. So if you go ahead and jump forward to Week 18 in the NFL season, you got some very interesting games that could decide some playoff matchups. You've got the Dolphins and the Patriots, like I said earlier. You've got the Chargers and the Raiders. You've got the Chiefs and the Broncos. You've got the Ravens and the Steelers. You've got the Browns and the Bengals. All games that can be interesting. Who wins? There's no way this AFC playoff race will be decided by Week 18. It's too tight. You'll see great games. Like I said, as of now, you got 13 teams still eligible for the playoffs. And it's going to be crazy. As a fan, it's going to be really great to watch. And as NFL, it's great for them because every game's going to matter. I don't think ever we've had this many games that are going to have some sort of significance into the playoffs. And it's kind of the same thing with the NFC, as there's really less spots available. There's really only one, maybe two, as those teams have kind of separated themselves more than they have in the AFC. But every spot's kind of up for grabs in the AFC, and NFC spots to sneak in are available. But once you get to the playoffs in the AFC, every team can beat every team. We've seen Pittsburgh beat Buffalo in Week 1. We saw the Dolphins beat the Ravens. We've seen the Titans lose Derrick Henry, and they could potentially get in as the 1 seed, and they're without their best player. So it's going to be really competitive, and every matchup's going to mean something, and it's going to be a really exciting playoffs. So as a football fan, get ready. It's going to be great. There's so much to watch for and so much to root for. And I'm the guy that's always going to root for chaos. So Week 18, Week 17, Week 16, you're going to be glued to your seats looking at these matchups, looking at these scenarios. AFC playoff race is crazy.